Hi everybody, this is Pulkit Chhabda, and in this video we'll be discussing the next problem of the Codeforces round 636, which is a div 3 round. And the next problem is also the last problem, which is F, restoring the permutation by sorted segments. So I'll be reading the problem out, I'll be explaining to you guys the solution, although the solution is a bit tricky, but I'll try my best to explain you the thought process. It's actually a hard problem. As you can see, the rating tag is 2800, and to give you a context, I think there is just one person from India who has crossed this rating barrier, and I'm not even sure about that. So I'll be reading the problem out now. The question says that we guessed a permutation P consisting of n integers. The permutation of length n is the array of length n where each element from 1 to n appears exactly once. So in other language, we take the permutation. One second. Yeah, we take the permutation 1 to n, and any permutation of this sequence is a permutation. So this permutation is a secret for you. For each position r from 2 to n, we chose some index L, okay, and L is less than r, and gave you segment PL plus 1 up to PR in sorted order. That means we rearrange the elements of the segment in a way that the basically elements of this segment are sorted. So you are given exactly n minus 1 segments of the initial permutation, but the elements inside each segment are sorted. The segments are given to you in random order. We'll see by an example what exactly does it mean. For example, if the secret permutation is this, then a possible set of segments can be this. Now if we see this 256 is corresponds to this 625. So this is for the case when r equals to the last index, which is 6, and the second case corresponds to r equals to 4, 6, right? Then the next case is 134, which means r equals 3. Then 1, 3, which means r equals to 2. Then 1, 2, 4, 6, 1, 2, 4, 6, which means r equals to 5. So we have a permutation for each r value, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? So our task is to find any suitable permutation for a given set of sequences or segments. As we can see, if the input was this, then this basically a permutation could have been our answer, right? So it is guaranteed that the input data corresponds to some permutation, that is, such permutation exists. We have to answer t independent test cases where t can be from 1 to 100, and in each test case the value of n, which is the number of integers in the permutation, can be up to 200, and the next n minus 1 lines will contain the segments. In the ith segment, in the ith line, basically the first integer will be ki, which will tell us the number of elements in the ith segment, and then there will be ki integers in the segment that are present in the segment. So all the integers are distinct, sorted in ascending order, and are between 1 to n, and are between 1 and n, right? It is guaranteed that the required p exists. It is also guaranteed that the sum of n overall test cases does not exceed 2000. 200. What's happening, man? So the output for the output we have to print n integers p1 to pn, and there should be any suitable permutation which can correspond to a given output if we choose suitable L values for each r, right? So these are some example inputs and outputs. This point onwards I'll be discussing the approach. I'll be trying to explain you the thought process behind the solution, and you can pause the video, think for some time if you want to, and then basically continue watching the rest of it. So let's say we are given an n value and we are given n minus 1 segments, and we want to find suitable permutation. Let's say p1, p2, and up to pn. Now we need to make several observations here. The first observation is that the first number, the smallest segment with r value equals to 2, not exactly the smallest but the one with r equals to 2, we can have only one possible segment, that is p1, p2, because we have to choose an L that is less than r. So for r equals to 2 we have just one possibility, that is L equals to 1. Now secondly, let's see what about all other sequences that are going to contain p1, because we know that p2 is going to contain p1 for sure. By p2 I mean the segment which has r value equals to 2 is going to contain p1 for sure. Now for all of the other segments, they'll contain p1 if the r value is the L value of them is 1, right? If the L value is greater than 1, then they are not going to contain p1. So if the L value for them is equal to 1 and their R values are obviously going to be greater than or equal to 3, can we say that their length is going to be greater than or equal to 3 if they contain P1, right? And also if we remove P1 from every one of them, the length is going to be greater than or equal to 2 for sure, right? And if we remove p1 from the segment which had r equals to 2, then its length is going to be 1, and that one element that is going that the corresponding segment is going to contain is going to be p2, right? So what I am trying to establish here is that if we fix a value of p1, like what I will be doing is I'll be trying for each value from 1 to n. I'll be trying each value by fixing it as the first value. Now if I fix some I as p1, and let's say it is possible to get a permutation that it is possible to get a suitable permutation such that it is in sync with the given input. It basically can correspond to a given input in some scenario. In that case, if we delete p1 from each of the segments that contain p1, it is for sure that the length of all others are going to be greater than or equal to 2, and the one which had r value equals to 2 is going to be 1. We just established that. That's because the one for which r value equals to 2, the segment is going to be p1, p2, or maybe p2, p1, but it's going to contain p1 or p1 and p2 in some order. It depends on if p1 is greater or p2 is greater. And for the other segments, if they contain p1, their length is going to be greater than or equal to 3. If they do not contain p1, then their length is obviously going to be greater than or equal to 2, because we know that L is less than r for each segment. There is no case for which L is equal to r, which means the length is anyway greater than or equal to 2. So if I choose some p1, if I fix some value as p1 and I delete basically all of the I delete that value of p1 from all of the segments, I can I can uniquely identify p2, right? I'll get p2 from that one segment whose length is 1, and all of the other segments will have a length not equal to 1, right? So after having identified p2, now same goes for the rest, because it is just a sub problem of what we just did. Now I have deleted p1 from every segment. Now then basically I'll have the segments for each r from 3 to n, and similarly as we saw for the r equals to 2 case, now in the r equals to 3 case, it's for sure that that particular segment is going to contain p3 and p2, because if it contained of p1, it has already been deleted, but it's sure that it will contain p2 because L is going to be less than r only, so it will contain p2 and p3. Now similarly, if we delete p2 from all of the segments that are remaining, we'll have exactly one segment that has length 1, which is the one corresponding to r equals to 3, and this is basically going to repeat itself. If at any point we find that there is no segment with length 1, or there are multiple segments with length equals to 1, then basically it is not possible for the permutation to be valid, because we saw for a permutation to be valid, it has to happen that after deleting ai, all the elements that were before the ith index will have exactly one segment with length 1. We just saw that. You can try and listen to it again if you didn't digest it in the first quotes. It's a bit tricky. It is understandable if it isn't clear. Yeah, so moving forward, now we can try for each value of p1, right? Now another question comes, if we are able to identify this whole permutation uniquely after having fixed a value of p1, is it for sure that it'll satisfy the input value? I'll say not. I am not really very sure about what's the reason. One reason maybe we have just tried to see that can this be a particular can this be a suitable permutation, but we can't say for sure that it will be, because we have just tried that can we get some the next element uniquely such that our condition is satisfied, but that is not the only condition, right? There must be more conditions also. In the first very case, in the case which is given, if we try for p1, if we try by fixing p1 equals to 1, we'll see that when p1 equals to 1, we'll delete 1 from here, here and here, right? Now we can see that this is the only segment with length equals to 1, so we'll have the next element as 3, then it will be gone, and then we'll delete 3 from the rest of the segments. Yeah, and then we have this segment with length equals to 1, all of the others have length greater than 1, so this is also gone, and the third element becomes to 4, and then we delete 4 from others, and then we have this with length 1, so 6, then we delete 6 from others, deleted. Now we have this with length 1, so 2 is the next element, and similarly we'll delete 2 from the remaining segments. We have 5, so 5. Now in this case we have identified a permutation, so now let's try and see if this is a valid one. It's 1 3. It's basically the same as the one given in the example. It's just that 1 and 3 are swapped. So the permutation that we identified was 3 1 4 6 2 5. Oh, I'm sorry, not 3 1 1 3 1 3 4 6 2 5. Right, now let's see if it's a valid one. 2 5 6 2 5 6, yes. 4 6 4 6, yes. 1 3 4 1 3 4, yes. 1 3 1 3, yes. But in the last case you will see that it does not hold. 1 2 4 6 1 2 4 6 are not a continuous segment. It basically had to be the case that 3 and 1 should be inverted, only then it is going to be valid permutation. So we see that even if we are able to establish a permutation uniquely after having fixed the first value, we can't say for sure that it is going to be answer, but we can basically use it to get to the answer, right? If we are not even able to basically identify the permutation uniquely, if we fix the first value, it's for sure that it is not going to be a valid permutation. We just saw the reason, because if it was a valid permutation, after deleting p1 we would have exactly one segment of length 1, and then after deleting p2 we would have only one segment with length 1, and so on. But if it's not the case, then it's definitely going to be an invalid one. Then I hope it is pretty clear. So what we are going to do is, we'll fix our first first value. We'll try every value as our first value. Now if we are trying some value as our first value, we'll try to identify the permutation uniquely for that particular first value. If we are not able to do so, then well and good, we'll try for some other value. But if we are able to identify it uniquely, even then we'll check if it corresponds to the to the given input or not. We'll check if this is actually the permutation that is suitable or not. If yes, we have got an answer. If not, then we'll simply move on to some another value for the first value, right? For fixing it as the first value. We'll keep doing it. We know that the number of possibilities for the first value are n only. It can be something from 1 to n, and after having fixed the first value, we know that the other values can be identified uniquely. So at the end of the loop, as the question says, that there will be at least one valid permutation, so hopefully we'll get one, right? I hope the solution is somewhat clear. I'll be writing down the code for it now. Like, okay, before writing code, we'll be seeing how we are going to go about it, because we have to do it within the time complexity as well. So let's just discuss it briefly, and the rest of things you'll be seeing during the coding part. Yeah, so let's see what are the possible ways to identify the permutations uniquely. Then we'll also see, if we have identified a permutation uniquely, how do we check that if it is actually a valid permutation or not. So let's go about the first part. In the first part, we want to identify the permutation uniquely after having fixed the value of p1. So note that whatever time complexity we'll take to identify the permutation uniquely for a given value of p1, we'll multiply that time by n, because we'll be trying for each value of p1, so we'll have to multiply the time by n, right? So let's see, we have now the value of p1. One way to go about it is that we can store a vector of vectors in which we'll store the each of the permutation, not exactly permutation, we'll store each of the segments. We have n minus 1 segments as seg1, let's say seg2 up to seg n minus 1. We have each of these stored in the vector. The sizes can be of order n. We know that for the segment for r equals to I, the maximum size possible can be r minus 1, I minus 1, right? No, not I minus 1, it can be I, if we choose the L value to be 1. The maximum possible size is I. So yeah, so what we can do is, while we are at some index, we can go to each of the segment, we can iterate each segment, and we can see if that particular element is present in that segment. Let's say p1 was present here. What I'll do is I'll just simply replace it by 0, so that I can know that the 0 elements do not mean anything. And yeah, so I'll just be replacing the element by 0, and after having done it, while calculating the sizes, I'll just iterate the segments again, and I'll count the number of non-zero elements. Then I'll have the sizes of the segments, and if I find exactly one segment with size 1, I'll go there and I'll get that non-zero element in that particular segment as my current element, as my the current permutations current element. So let's see what time complexity it is going to take. Now I need to do it n times for I equals to 2, I equals to 3, and up to y equals to n, although n minus 1 times, but I'll be talking in the big O notation. So n, and every time I'm iterating all of these segments, right? And I know that the number of segments that I have here is of the order n, right? And each of the segments sizes are also of order n, so n square time I'm going to take. So the time for each the first value being fixed is n cube into n, means basically the time overall that I'm going to take is will be going to be big O of n raised to power 4, plus also the time that I'll take for checking if a permutation is a valid one or not. Let's ignore that for now, we'll see how to do that in the later part. But in this scenario only, big O of n raised to power 4 is definitely not going to work, because we can see that the value of n is up to 200, the summation n is 200, and in this case 2 into 10 raised to power 2's 10 power 4 is going to be 16 into 10 raised to power 8, which means 1.6 into 10 raised to power 9. It is going to give us TAT. So let's think of a better approach. Now, in a better approach, what I can, okay, let me erase this. I don't know why, but for some reason I am not able to delete. Okay, yeah, it is not being deleted. I'll just restart it once. Okay, it is gone now. Yeah, so let's continue. Now I'll try to reduce my time complexity from big O of n4 to maybe big O of n cube or n cube log n, because these both are going to work. What I can think of is, what we can do is, the time that we are taking to iterate the segments is, something that we do not require, because after having deleted the segments, not even after deleting some elements, even if we do not have, even if we haven't deleted any, we just need to check if that particular element is present in the segments or not. To check, we do not really iterate the whole segment to delete it. What we can do is, we can maintain a hash table, maybe, I don't know what exactly I would call it. I can maintain a 2D array of n minus 1 into n plus 1, where n plus 1, because my values are from 1 to n, and for that I'll need an array of size n plus 1, n minus 1 because I have n minus 1 segments, in which, let's say, the name of it is maybe present. Yeah, present of ij, where the present of ij is going to be 1 if the element j is present in ith segment, or it's going to be 0 if it's not. And additionally, I can have an array of size n minus 1, which will tell me what is the size of the ith segment. So while deleting an element, let's say I have to delete an element x from each segment. To do that, what I can do is, from each segment, what I can do is, I can iterate from I equals to 0 to n minus 1 for each segment. I'll see if basically present of ix, it means that x is present in the ith segment. I'll say present of ix equals to 0 and size of I minus 1, not I minus 1, size of I minus 1 is right. In this way I have decreased the size also, and I have removed the presence of that element also, right? So I hope this is clear. Earlier, while deleting an element from a segment, I was taking big of n time, right? Because I was iterating over that segment. But now I'm just taking big of 1 time after some pre-processing, and this pre-processing is not going to take much time, because I'll be just doing it while taking the input. You will just see how in some time. Now the problem comes, how to basically check if a permutation is a valid one or not. To do that, one way I can think of is that, what can we do is, we can iterate each segment through each segment. Let's say we have a segment 2, 5, 6. I think it was an example of the first example only, segment in the first example only. We'll see that in the current permutation that we are trying to check, what is the index of 2. Let's say id of 2, id of 5, and id of 6 are the indices of the elements 5, 6 and 2. Then we'll sort them, and then we'll see that are they continuous, like for each id value, is it just next to the previous one. If that's the case, it means that they are a sub array, that they can correspond to some r and l value. And for that, we'll just store the r value, because we just want that we should have covered all the r values from 2 to n, right? We'll just store the r value. If that's not the case, if they aren't continuous, it means that this isn't even valid sequence that should have been in the input. It means that our permutation is not valid. So if every of the sequence is a subarray, is a valid subarray of the permutation, then we'll just keep storing the r values, and in the end we'll just check that has each r value from 2 to n occurred or not, right? We'll just check basically the size of the set. We can put all the r values in the set. We will check its size. If its size is n minus 1, it means that we are good to go. If not, it means that there is some R value that has been repeated, so this is also not going to be a valid permutation. I know it might be a little hard to digest at the first go. It is difficult, I understand, but try and watch the video again. Maybe it will become clear after a couple of watches. I'll be proceeding to the code now. I'll be trying to write down the code. Uh, let's see if I am able to write it correctly in the first go or not. So yeah, let's go. Yeah. So first things first, take the number of test cases as input, then the n value, then I'll be having n minus 1 segments. So what I'll do is I'll make a vector of vector int type whose name is going to be present, as I just told you. The first dimension is going to be n minus 1 and the second dimension is going to be n plus 1. This is how you initialize 2D vectors. Hopefully let's try and build it. If it runs, it means it is the correct. Yeah, it is a correct. It is written correctly. So what I'll do is I'll just iterate from 0 to n minus 1. Let's take the input of size for the current segment. Is it what I have to do? Yeah, n minus 1 segments. Then what I can let's take the size. Then I also need a vector for the sizes, vector int sz of size n minus 1. I'll say sz of n I equals to s, because this is going to my size. Then I'll just simply take input of for each number, and I'll say that present of I x equals to 1. Also I can initialize it by 0. I don't know what's the default initialization. I can just say initialize each number by 0. So I've just made sure that I and x, the number at I x is 1. So I know that what all numbers are present in each segment currently. Right now, by this time I have my input ready. Now I'll try to basically go about the answer. Now let's say we'll iterate from p1 equals to 1 to p1 less than or equals to n plus plus p1. P1 is my first value that I'm going to try, and now I'll be checking if this is a valid permutation or not. This can be a valid permutation or not. To do that, let's make another two vectors, vector of and vi current, let's say dp. Maybe it just sounds simpler. Vi n plus 1 0. What I am doing here is that, okay, I think I can simply say that vector int vector of vi dp equals to present. I'll just explain you why I'm doing it. I'm also changing its size from name from sz to szd over here, and here I'll make a new vector called sz equals to szd. I'm doing that because I'll be updating these. I want to update these arrays present and szd, but I can't do that because if I do that, I would have tampered with their values. And when I go about checking for the next value of p1, I will not be left with the original values. So I am storing it in some temporary variables dp and sz, so that I have the original present and szd as they were while taking the after having taken the input. Right? I hope it is clear. It will be clear in a while if it's not. Yeah. So now let's try for our ARR of size n plus 1. I know that ARR 1 value is going to be p1. Now I'll try to calculate the value for each other value, each other index. I equals to 1, I equals to 2, I less than equals to n plus plus I. Now what my initial thing is, delete a of I minus 1 from each segment, right? So to do that, what I'll be doing is I'll be iterating for let's say let's call it id. Yeah, we'll be going from for each segment I. Okay, let's call it I and let's call it seg. Seg is equals to 0. Seg is less than n minus 1 plus plus seg. If dp of seg and ARR I minus 1. So I'll say dp of seg ARR I minus 1 equals to 0 and size of seg minus minus, right? Now I have deleted, by this point deletion is done. I have deleted ARR I minus 1 from each of the segment, and now I'll check how many basically segments I have with size equals to 1. Let's say I'll make a vector of id vals, which let's say sz1, the ones with the size 1. I'll iterate in each segment again. Seg equals to 0, seg is less than n minus 1 plus seg. If sz of seg equals 1, I'll say sz1 dot pushback seg. Now at this point, if sz1 dot size is not equals to 1, it means that there is either no segment with size 1 or there are more than one segments with size equals to 1. In this case, I know that this is not a valid choice for p1, so I'll say valid equals to 0 and break. Also, I'll need to have a boolean variable called valid before trying this value of p1. And also, after having I come out of this for loop, I'll say if valid equals 0, simply continue. This is not our valid answer. Yeah, so if it's not the case, if we have a segment with size exactly equal to 1, so what we'll do is we'll simply say that ARR I equals to sz1. Okay, not exactly sz1. What we'll do is we'll find which element is present in this sz1 in this segment which has size equals to 1. So I'll iterate once again and I'll just write s now and not sz. S equals to 0, s is less than n minus 1 plus s. Okay, not s, then another mistake. I know that the id of that segment is going to be as z1 of 0, right? This is going to be the id because I pushed all the ids of such segments which had size 1, and the size is 1. I know there is going to be actually one such segment, so I have its id. Now I'll see which element is the one which is present in this segment. X equals to 1, x is less than or equals to n plus x. If dp of id x, then this is the element which is present in the this segment. I'll say error I equals to x, then simply break. Now by this point I index has been set. Now I'll just move to the next particular index. Now after having done this, I'll come out of the loop and be here. Now by this point I have to check if the permutation that I have just identified uniquely for the given value of p1, is it valid or not? Does it correspond to the input in some case or not? To do that, what I'll do is I'll store the indices of each values. As we just discussed, we want the indices of each values to check. I'll make another vector called id val of size n plus 1. I'll iterate my ARR. I'll say id val of ARR I equals to I. Right, now I'll see for each segment for I equals to 0, I less than n plus I, not n minus 1, because there are n minus 1 segments. Now I'll iterate through each segment for int x equals to 1, x is less than or equals to n plus x. If present of I x, it means that x is present in this segment. What I'll do is I have to store the id vals of these. The id vals of this will be given by idv.pushback id val of x, right? By id val of x, I'll have the id value, the index value of x, and I just push it to the idv, right? So after having pushed all the values of current segment, what I'll do is I'll just sort this idv vector, sort idv. Now after having sorted it, I'll see if this is a continuous one, and what is the R value. So I need to store the R values also, so I'll also make a set called R values, right? So now after sorting it, I'll say for int, let's say id equals to 1, id is less than idv dot size plus id if idv of id is not equals to idv of id minus 1. It means that id minus 1 plus 1, it means that they are not continuous. There is a gap of greater than 1, so it means that our valid is again 0 by this case, and we can break here. Yeah, if it's not the case, we'll reach here. It means that this is a valid one. So I'll just say rvals dot insert the largest value, right? So the largest index will be present at idv dot back. So rvals will get will contain the r value of the current permutation, right? Now after coming out, it means that all the segments were a subarray of current permutation. Right now I'll just need to check if they had each r value covered or not. Now if rvals dot size equals n minus 1, then this is a valid one. This p1 value was a valid one. We have got our answer. If rvals dot size, okay, let's see, let's do it in another way. I just forgot it. I also have to check if the validity is there or not. If valid equals 0 or rvals dot size is not equal to n minus 1, if any of these two cases is there, it means that this is not the way to go. Continue. Now if we reach this line, it means that it is valid, like each of the segments was a subarray of the current permutation, and each r value is also covered. So by this point we are sure that this permutation is our answer. We have completely checked it. Now what I'll do is I'll just print this permutation. Here are I, and I'll just break, right? Now let's try and run it. Let's see if there are some compilation errors or not. Okay, there are no compilation errors. Let's check with the answers. 314625 32145 2163 54712. Okay, the samples seemed to have passed. Let's see, let's try and submit it. In the meanwhile, I'll walk you through the code once again. Not once again, I'll walk you through the code once. Yeah, take input the test cases, then n value, then make two vectors called present and size. Size will tell me the sizes of each segment, and present will tell me which all elements are present in each segment and which all are not. Then get the input for each segment, get the value of size first, then after getting the size, then get the elements as the input, and we know that present of ix equals to 1 because x is basically present in the ith segment, and also set its size as first. Now we have the sizes and we have the present array ready. Now we are good to go, and now we have to basically find the answer. So we'll try each value as p1. Now we'll try fixing every value as our first number in the permutation. So p1 equals to 1 to n plus p1. I'll store these present and szd values in some temporary variables called dp and sz. This is because I am actually updating some values. I'm making dp of all the values basically 0 by the end of this, if this is a valid permutation, and I'm also manipulating the size value. So I want the original values to be tempered with, so that I can calculate the values for the next p1 values also. So I'm just storing them in a local variable and two local variables. So I have this array which will contain the permutations that I'm gonna try and identify uniquely. ARR1 is going to P1 is going to be equal to P1 because that's what our assumption is, and I'll for now assume that this is a valid combination, it's a valid permutation. If at any point I feel that this is something which is invalid, I'll just make the value of valid equals to 0 and I'll not be printing the permutation then. Now I'll be trying to calculate the values of for I equals to 2 to n after having done it for the first index. Now, as we just discussed during the OneNote on the OneNote board, that we'll be deleting ARR I minus 1 from each segment to get the value of ARR I. Now for deleting it, what I'm doing is I'll just go to each segment. I'll see if ARR I minus 1 is present in that segment. If yes, if not, nothing to do, right? If yes, I'll just set it as 0 and I'll decrement its size by 1. Now I'll see what all segments are there which have the size exactly equal to 1. To do that, I'll iterate for each segment. I'll iterate through each segment. I'll see if its size is 1. If yes, I'll just push its index to the sz1 vector. Now if the size of the sz1 is not equal to 1, it means that if there is either no segment with size 1 or there are multiple segments with size 1, it means that this particular permutation is not a valid one. It means that I cannot identify the permutation uniquely anymore, so it means that this is not a valid one, then this simply break. If not, I'll just know that the ID of the permutation, sorry, not permutation, the ID of the segment that has the size 1 is going to be sz10. Then I'll be iterating, I'll be checking which is the element that is present in that particular segment. So for that I'm iterating from 1 to n and I'm checking if dp of id x equals to 1. It means that the element x is present in the idth subsegment, idth segment. I'm just saying that IRI equals to x now and I'll just break. By the end of this loop, by the line 90, I would have identified the permutation uniquely for the given value of P1 for a value of P1. Now either I would have identified it or either I would have broke in between only by setting the value of valid as 0. Now if the value of valid is 0, it means that I haven't actually identified the permutation. I'll just continue to the next value of P1. If not, I'll check whether the uniquely identified permutation is a valid one or not, because at this point I know that it can be a valid one. I am not sure if it is. I'll just check it if it is a valid one or not. So to do that, what I'll do is I'll first get the ID values of each number in that particular permutation. So to do that, what I did is I'll just iterate the permutation. I'll say ID val of ARR I equals to I, right? It's just simply storing the indices of each number, right? Then I'll iterate through each segment. I'll store the ID values in of all the numbers in each segment in some vector. So while processing the current segment, I'll iterate through the current segment, and all of the numbers which are present in the current segment, I'll just store their ID values. idv dot pushback id val of x, right? So I'll just sort both of them, not both of them actually. I'll just sort the ID values of the of the numbers that are present in the current segment. Now I'll have to check whether they correspond to a subarray or not. If not, then it's not a continuous subsequence of the permutation. It means that it is not a valid permutation. So I'll just check it. What I'm doing is I'm iterating through each element in the IDV, and I'm seeing if the difference between the current element and the just previous element is 1. Yeah, if it is, it means it's valid. If I even find one such occurrence of adjacent numbers such that the difference is not 1, it means that it is not a continuous subsequence. Then also I'll say valid equals to 0 and I can break there. Else if it's not else I'll also basically need to see what is the R value of the the largest index of the subsegment of the subarray that it corresponds to. I am doing that because I need to make sure that each R value from 2 to n is covered, because we know that the input value should correspond to the permutation in such a way that each value from R equals to 2 to n exactly is the R value for exactly one subsegment, not subsegment, for exactly one segment in the input, right? So I am just inserting idv.back to arvails, which I have declared it up here as a set. No, now after coming out of this loop, after having iterated through all the segments, I just see if it's if the value of valid has become 0, or if rvals.size is not equal to n minus 1. If this is the case, it means we have found some segment which was not actually actually a continuous subsequence, or we have found that the all of the r values are not actually covered for this particular permutation, for this particular choice of permutation. Then we'll continue. If not, by this point we are absolutely sure, I think, if the code is accepted, that we have found our permutation. We'll just go on and print it, and we'll just play. I think it should work. Let's see if there is a mistake. I'll try to figure it out. Yeah, so it has been accepted. I hope you got an idea how I've implemented it and how I basically reached the solution. If something is unclear, you may post down in the comments. I'll try to figure it out, and I'll try to reply. So this was it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.